Thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't been here before, my name is Tracy, and this is a DIY upcycling channel where we take tired clothes out of the closet, thrifted items, and breathe new life into them and create clothes, purses, and accessories. Now today, so I've been wanting a really shabby chic, boho looking bucket hat. And that's what I'm going to make today. Now there are PDFs where you can download them and print them out on your computer, patterns to make these, but I don't want to do that. I have a bucket hat. I got this used on eBay, and I could kick myself over the years. I've seen so many bucket hats at the thrift stores that I didn't pick up, but this is what I'm starting with. So I rummaged through my storage room and just grabbed a bunch of rich looking tapestries. Now one of these is like scraps from an Italian wedding blanket. I have another video talking about that, but this is about the hat. I'll put the link to that in my description. And a lot of these others, now this is just a fabric remnant that I thrifted, and a lot of these are blazers. Blazers have really nice patterned tapestries for projects, and I always look at the blazers at the thrift stores. Now, I am just going to be piecing these onto the hat. And before I started the hat, I tested it in my sewing machine to make sure I was going to be able to get to the top and around the edges. And I want to say one more thing, this top, I have a tutorial for this, or a DIY video. I'll put the link down in my description, but I did tweak it since that video. And if you're interested in how I did this tie to make it more fitted, I'll talk about that at the end of the video. So I am just going to dump this out and start playing. I basically will be doing patchwork design, so I'll be playing with different pieces, looking at it, seeing what I like. Now I have a piece like this. I'm just making it a square first, just to make it manageable. And then I think maybe I will try that for the top part of the hat. Now I can just kind of eyeball this and cut out a circle shape and then make it smaller. Better to go big at first because you can trim that up. This might drive some people crazy who like patterns and preciseness, but to me, this is just fun. It's a snowy, yucky day here, and I love sitting down here and doing this. Now maybe I'll stick a few pins in this way so it kind of stays in place while I trim it up. This is not an exact science. I don't even know if this is going to work, but this is what I'm doing today, and I like having you with me. Now I think I'm going to turn the pins this way and get this part sewn on. I'm going to take this to my sewing machine. I'm going to use my largest zigzag stitch. I'll probably use gold colored thread on the whole hat, and I'm just going to stay close to the edges. Now I got a little chunk of the Italian wedding blanket. I'm just going to temporarily, or keep it pinned when I sew. The shorter pieces are easier because once you start getting too long, the fabric needs to be curved. So I'm just doing little patches. So I'm pinning it up here so that I can see where it's going to lay on this line, where the brim of the hat is, and I'm going to trim it right at that line. There was the first one I added. Now I'm adding another piece because I love this fabric so much. Okay, this is so fast and easy. Now this will be frayed and tattered looking. That's what I want. So I have the side done. I'm going to go to my machine. Same thing, my largest zigzag stitch. Stay close to the edges. Sew all the way around. Sew around the bottom. And then I'll have to go back in and sew the edges of each patch that I added to it. Now the part that attaches to the top circle, I have to pleat a little bit to get it to fit almost all the way around. And I think that's going to be cute. Here's what it's looking like so far. Now I just need to do the brim on the outside and the brim on the underside. And each one of these patches, I'll just cut a subtle curve. As long as I do that, it should fit in there nicely. Right now I'm just laying them at that seam just to get an idea of what I want. And I'll probably pin those at the top and trim the edges when I get them laid out the way I want. Now I'm just pinning all these patches along the top so that I know how they'll lay so I can trim around that brim. I have the top pinned at that seam, and then I pin down the sides of each of the patch. And now what I want to do is just look at it from underneath, and I want to trim this about 1/4 of an inch past the brim. Now I'm just going to sew these on like I did everything else. Large zigzag stitch, sew around the top, sew around the bottom, come back in and catch the sides of those patches. Now I have the underneath side all patched in. Now this time I will start sewing at the bottom, and I'm lining this piece up with the top edge that overlapped a little bit, and I will actually be sewing those two pieces together. If it catches the hat, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I want those pieced together nicely so you don't see the edge of the hat. And then when I get that sewn, I'll sew the inside, and then I'll come back and sew the sides of all the patches, just like we did everything else. Okay, it's all done. How fun is that? And easy peasy. Oh my gosh. I could have made this so fast if I didn't have to turn the camera on and off. Might be easier than making them from scratch. I don't know. All right, I'm going to put it on. Let's see what it looks like. How awesome is that? And have you seen the price of these online? Oh my gosh. So for next to nothing, scraps I had, a bucket hat I could have got at the thrift store, and just a little bit of time, I have a very nice piece. I could have gone nuts and embellished this. I could have done flower appliques, bird appliques. I could have put a cat flower, fabric flower. I could have done like a yarn braid, or I like to take strips of t-shirts and braid them too. Boy, your imagination could run wild with something like this. Okay, now I want to talk about this shirt. Now some of you may have seen the video on how to make that. I've since added a bow, and I'm just going to explain to you quickly what I did. Okay, so I took 2 strips of bed sheet. They are 4 inches wide, and one is 69 inches And the other is, I had it written down. One is 69 inches and one is 45 inches. Now, I'll show you how I sewed them. What I did was I took the ends, I put right side down on top of my shirt. I butted the bottom up against the top piece of lace and the end against that strip that holds the button and the buttonholes. And I just did a straight stitch on both sides. So then I have this. I take the longer one. Now this shortens it too. I kind of want to see my belt and everything. I take the long one, wrap it around the back, take this end, and make a nice, big, generous bow. Fun, fun. All right, thank you so much for watching.